Wrong one. Okay, fantastic. We're good? Great, we're going to get started. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay. A few logistics over the summer to deal with. So real quick, the Open Public Meeting Statement. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School District of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, place thereof posted at the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of the Chatham Borough, the Chatham Township, the Library of the Chathams, the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and the TAP online newspaper. Peter, could you take attendance, please?
Ms. Ciccarelli.
Here.
Ms. Clark. Mr. Del Sandro.
Here.
Ms. Kenny.
Here.
Ms. Ross. Mr. Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Dr. Zhang.
Here.
And Ms. Weber.
Here.
7 present and accounted for.
If you're able to, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is to my left, your right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Okay, great. On the rare occasion, I actually do have a president's comment at the beginning here. I just wanted to point out, if folks haven't noticed, Dr. LaSousa is not in the building, and in his place is Dr. Donahue, Mary Donahue, to my left. Mary is taking over in Mike's absence in all its glory, all its responsibility, and all its headaches that go along with it. So if you had any questions you wanted to ask the superintendent and were afraid to ask, now Mary's here and can answer them for you. But so Mary is presiding in Mike's place and again has all the authority that would have bestowed Dr. LaSousa. So that was my only comment. So I am going to send it over to Dr. Donahue for the report.
Super. I do have a brief report, but before I get to that, I would like to invite, we have some members of the senior class who are here tonight with a request for all of us.
Excellent.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well this evening. I am Jessica Palucci, class president of the Rising Senior Class.
And I'm Caroline Sennett, class treasurer.
We are here today representing the class of 2024 to formally request open campus privileges. The past 3 years have demonstrated the class of 2024's strong character and developing maturity through commitment to sports, theater, community service, and of course, academics.
Across the board in all sports this year, our class contributed to huge successes, accumulating in Chatham High winning the 19th annual NJSIAA ShopRite Cup as the best athletic program in Group 3. We earned this award by winning group championships in girls fencing, boys swimming, girls lacrosse, and boys track and field. In theater, juniors contributed to bringing home 13 awards at this year's Speech and Theater Association of New Jersey Governors Awards. This past June, over 100 new members were inducted in the National Honor Society, which has a service requirement minimum of 25 hours. In terms of academics, the class of 2024 hasn't faltered in striving to consistently put forth our best efforts in all levels and subjects.
We recognize and understand that open campus for seniors is a privilege, but also firmly believe our aforementioned successes exhibit our class's maturity and advancing independence. As we move into our final year of high school, open campus privileges will allow our class a greater measure of independence that will help us transition towards post-graduation life.
Not only have the last 3 years of high school shaped our independence, but also our collective student community. The support systems we've created will help to ensure our students are putting their best foot forward and keeping each other in check and continuing to represent Chatham High School in a positive manner, both on and off campus.
We hope our accomplishments, duly as individuals and as a class, foster your confidence in trusting us with this privilege. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies, for coming out. Sorry to make you come over this summer. The one downside of a quick end of school is we kind of missed one meeting and weren't able to get you in here before we closed the buildings. Thank you for the accomplishments. Thank you for coming out. I think you guys are very well accomplished. To me, Open Campus is more about character. It's more about looking out for your friends. You're going to be exposed now, the independence you're going to be having, the sense of freedom, but more importantly, you now have the ability to make choices, smart choices, good choices. You also have the converse to that. So what I would ask is that you, when you're out there and representing, it could be taken away. That's the consequence. But if you see a classmate maybe struggling or going down a wrong path and not really using Open Campus in its intended method, maybe, keep an eye, look out for each other. Don't leave a man down, help them out. If you can't help them out, maybe find somebody that can reach out and get them the resources they need. So what your accomplishments, are fantastic, and we read about them all the time, and gosh, you guys are just doing great, and your senior year should be fantastic. Along with Open Campus, again, just remember, with the independence comes some choices, and that can go either way. So please keep an eye on each other. And I have been, I was on the board when it was revoked, and it was a sad, sad day for everybody. And it was revoked for at least 2 weeks, so it could be revoked for the whole year. But more importantly, just keep an eye on each other and help each other out, and reach a hand, or if you guys are struggling, know that there's resources that you can reach out to as well. Did anybody else have anything they want to say to the rising seniors?
How long ago was it revoked?
Robert was
How long ago?
Robert was a sophomore. He's 28 now. Don't make me do the math. It's summer.
Oh, it's been that long?
It's been a bit. There you go. See? That's why we have Riley here to do the math for us. Kind of not the point, though, right now, Chris. Any other questions or comments? Did you ladies have any questions, additional questions for us? No?
No.
All right. Well, you don't have to stay for the meeting. Please don't feel obligated. You're welcome to, but we won't even notice if you sneak out one of the doors. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your summer, and have a great senior year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. While they sneak out the door, Dr. Donahue, we're going to put the
Yep.
focus back on you.
Absolutely. So our last meeting, as you know, was June 5th, and our last day of school was June 9th. We went all the way to the end with a successful finish, even with the orange haze that was descended upon us. We still managed to push through and have many celebrations in all of our buildings. On our actual last day of school, for those of you that were able to join us, we did have our TEDx event, which I had never been, and I definitely will not be missing it in the future. It was an amazing night. All of the participants were so polished and poised, and it was just a great representation of the talent that exists in the district, and may I also say bravery, because I would never be brave enough to stand up there and do what they did. So it's definitely on my calendar for next year. Moving on into the next week, we had our graduation for Chatham High School. It was the first graduation ceremony under the guidance of Dr. Walker, and it was a great evening, nice and timely, and the kids even made it outside in between the rainstorms for some photo ops, so I think that was great. I did want to point out that all of the end-of-year festivities that take place, not just for the high school, but elsewhere, they do require a great deal of planning and preparation and logistics, and for all of the people who helped make that possible, we just wanted to extend a hearty thanks, because those are the events that really produce great memories for families, and we're just very grateful for that. As for where we are right now, our extended school year program is up and running, along with Brain Camp. They're, knock on wood, running smoothly. And for the remainder of the summer, we'll continue to plan and work out professional development, make sure the buildings are up and running, so we can come back and do it all again on Monday, August 28th. So that's where we are.
Excellent. The TED Talks were fantastic. I think most everybody at the table attended. Mr. Ryan's son, Patrick, was the closer.
Great.
He closed the house down.
Yeah.
And it was pretty well attended, wasn't it? Pretty packed. There was not too many empty seats in this whole auditorium. It was great. It was really, I don't know when they're going to post it, but if you have an opportunity to see it, it's posted already? Oh, okay, great. I didn't know if the TED people approved it already. Oh, that's fantastic. So if you have an opportunity, it's on our website. Check out anyone, and the bravery. I mean, you are on a circle with a spotlight on you and 732 chairs looking at you with people sitting in them. It's really quite intimidating. But they rocked it. It was great. Does anybody else have any questions for Mary? No? Thank you, Dr. Donahue.
Thank you.
Peter, over to you for the construction.
Sure. Just a quick update. The partial roof replacement at both the high school and Lafayette School will start, both start in July, and barring any other unusual issues, both will be completed before the staff returns on August 24th. Construction will soon begin on the replacement of the ADA access ramp at the front of the Chatham High School. The current ramp is original to the building and no longer meets code specifications for anyone in a wheelchair to access it. That repair and replacement will also be done before the staff returns. The repairs at Washington Avenue School due to the car accident, which need to be done to the fence, playground, and the building, will also be done this summer, and the purchase orders have been issued to the 3 different vendors who will take care of those. So we're progressing and moving along.
Although it looked like the fence was back up on Shunpike and well, you're at Washington every day. Is the playground fenced in again?
I don't know, I'll put it this way, I wanted to go down into the borough last week, but with the power outages and no traffic lights, I would advise, if you don't need to go, don't go.
Don't go, right.
So,
I know the fence is back up on Shunpike, and it
Right.
appeared that the playground fence was back
yeah,
up.
I don't know if the vendor had come out, I know he was contracted. And we hired the mason to open up the wall to verify that there's no other damage other than the Facebooks.
Okay.
So that'll get done soon.
But you anticipate it all being wrapped up before?
Yes.
End of August?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we've filed the claim with our insurance company. We've already been contacted by the driver's car insurance company. They're well aware, and both insurance companies are in the mix. The district will be made whole.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions for Peter?
And that's all I have.
Oh, sorry, Peter. Any questions for Peter on any of those items? You said the roof did start or did not start?
The roof.
Lafayette.
The roof work will start soon. It will start in July.
Oh, it'll
We have a
start.
construction meeting today. They're last of planning and arranging the delivery of the materials.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they know they have to be wrapped up by the end of school,
Yes.
or they're working nights?
Yes, they're well aware of it.
Okay. Remember, no contractors on campus when kids are on campus. Okay, great. Over to you, Riley. Oh, sorry.
Not a lot since school's out. The only thing I will say that I've heard is a complaint, unfortunately. Health at the high school, you have to do 12 weeks a year. I think that's the number. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 10. And they usually break it up throughout the year. Towards the end of the year, we heard from the gym teachers that it's going to be 12 weeks straight in this upcoming school year. They were going to do 12 weeks like right in a row. Kids with, what's it called? Exemptions, thank you. Kids with exemptions, like some of them would miss out on their entire exemption if they're in health. And kids didn't know about this, so a lot of kids plan their schedules like, okay, I want to have a study hall in the fall because I play soccer or whatever, but I'll have my gym exemption, and then I'll have my study hall in the spring. And now it's kind of like, well, if you get unlucky and you have health in that fall portion, you don't get your gym exemption, you don't get a study hall.
You get healthy, though.
You get healthy, so true. So I think kids were complaining there a little bit, and also you would miss like a whole unit in gym. So gym volleyball is very popular at the high school. If you had health during the gym volleyball unit, you wouldn't get to be on a team, you would miss all of it. So I think, yeah. So I think kids, I'm sure there's a logical reasoning, but kids seem to prefer the alternating week schedule over the 12 weeks straight. Look into it. Yeah, I'm done, that's it.
Yeah. Look into it might be a little strong, but at least get a better understanding of the rationale, if that's in fact what's happening. So we'll circle back on that, because I don't have the chair of curriculum here. So, and if something goes south, we can just blame it on Mike anyway, because he's not here either. Anything goes wrong tonight, it's Mike's fault. Great, thank you, Riley. Any other questions for Riley on any of that? No? Perfect. Committee reports and anything for personnel?
No, we have not met since our last meeting. Not sure when we are meeting again.
Yeah, probably not for a bit.
We'll let you
Doesn't matter. Summertime, summer hours.
It's all good.
Curriculum also hasn't met. Mr. Smith, has finance and facility? No, probably won't be till August. Mr. Ryan?
We haven't met yet.
Okay, we'll pick this up again in August with everybody's vacation schedules. Are there any liaison reports?
No update from the borough, correct, Bill?
No update from the borough, that's correct. No update on the borough Again, it's, folks are on vacation and, okay, great. So we're going to move over to the minutes. So I'd like to move the minutes I'm going to do them separately. June 5th, the public and executive session. Peter, was anybody absent?
No, it's full board.
Yeah, we had everybody here. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? And then we had an executive session on July 5th to discuss a personnel matter. Peter, can you remind me who was?
Only Mr. Del Sandro is missing.
So only Chris has to abstain. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? There you go.
Duly noted, the minutes of 6:05 past 7:0, the minutes of 7:05 past 6:01.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have our first opportunity for public commentary. A hearing of the citizens of the public comment section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. And to help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments to a reasonable length of time. And again, this is not a Q&A. This is your opportunity to make comments, and if we can address something, we will at the end. And if you could introduce yourself, Mr. Heap, that would be great.
Okay. Good evening to all. Bill Heap, Chatham Borough. Usually I get up here and moan and groan about things like full-day kindergarten, pilot payments, second questions, all the topics that usually cause a spike in people's blood pressure. But not tonight. I'm here to talk TED tonight. I went to last year's TED Talk, and I didn't think it could ever be equaled, and I was wrong. The amount of practice and preparation that goes into a 5-minute presentation makes my head explode. The coming up with a concept, expanding that concept, putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, writing, editing, rewriting, re-editing, peer review, counselor review, audition. Does it sound as good as it looks on paper? And of course, then practice, practice, practice. The presentations were uniformly polished and flawless. The mixture of spoken word, of music, of dance, and a little comedy thrown in was just the right mix. I especially like the topic on the difference between being alone and being lonely, and then the presentation on music. And of course, I can see why Mr. Agree is a popular teacher. He has the art of the presentation down pat, and I would love nothing more than to sit in the back of his classroom and just listen. And then there was the finale. And I have to call out your very own Mike Ryan. Mike, I have to say this. If the police happened to stop you on your way home that night and tested you for being a proud father, you would have exceeded the legal limit many times over. And good for you. What your son did was a triumph. They don't come along too often, but you have that for the rest of your life. It was just fabulous. So congratulations to all involved, the presenters, the moderator, the tech people, the stage crew, the counselors, the Education Foundation for sponsoring it. It was really blockbuster entertainment at a bargain basement price. It is the best that Chatham has to offer, and I would urge everyone to tune in. It's worth your 45 minutes to see what they have to say. Second item tonight is a thank you to the school district for supporting the J.C.'s Fishowak run. We had 12, a dozen or so administrators and teachers come out as a team. The weather was touch and go. Everybody remembers the Canadian haze. We thought we were going to have people running down Washington Avenue spitting ashes. It didn't turn out that way. It turned out to be a beautiful morning for a race. On the men's side, we had a tightly packed group coming around the loop the first time, and then the second time down Washington Avenue. Alex Gironda threw it into overdrive, and it was all over. He won by at least 30 seconds. And all I can say is, it's nice to be young. On the girls' side, my neighbor, Lindsay Brejnahan, recent graduate of Chatham High School, came in first for the girls. Also nice to be young. So thanks to the school district for participating. As it turns out, the ECLC will be a big beneficiary. So it was educators supporting education, and we look forward to having all of you next year. Thanks, and have a great summer.
Thank you, Bill. Never for me.
My comments, tonight are regarding the second question proposals for the 23-24 school year. So during March and April, pardon me? I'm not in charge. Can you hear me now? Yes? All right, so during the March and April board meetings, as next year's budget was being discussed and voted on and passed, the public was told that the proposal to construct security vestibules was posed as a permanent tax increase because the money going forward would be used to fund various capital improvement projects. Then at the June 15th meeting, it was stated that there was a newsletter posted on the school website that explained what those tax increases would be used for. The May 1st newsletter reads, quote, "The reason the board has chosen to present a proposal that would permanently increase the base budget is that once the construction of the security vestibules is complete, then the district will have additional funds available in the ensuing years to direct toward the many capital improvements that remain outstanding." Then at the May 15th meeting, there was an additional resolution that was added to the agenda, not the original agenda, voted on and passed, and it contained the following interpretive statement for Proposal 1 to construct the security vestibules, which says, quote, "The subsequent years, the funds will be used for ongoing security costs, security enhancements, including the maintenance of surveillance systems, the employment of security personnel, the maintenance of cybersecurity software, and the fortification of the building perimeters at all 6 schools at a cost of $850,000. Voter approval of this proposal will represent a permanent increase in the tax levy of 1.23%. So this interpretive statement now says nothing about what was stated in March and April and in the May 1st newsletter. It is not about, quote, "many future capital improvements that remain outstanding." So the original stated purpose for the permanent tax increase is now completely different. What changed? Why? How will the money actually be used? Which is it? Are you going to use it for capital improvements, or are you going to use it for what you say in your interpretive statement? Thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments? We have another opportunity at the end if somebody wants to chime in. Mr. Heap, thank you for the kind words on TED Talk and Fishwack support. I think we also lent the town all of our golf carts to be used for Fishwack to move things around and help people, but TED Talk was great, Fishwack was great, so thank you for coming out, and you can come out next meeting and talk about all those other things you typically talk about. I know you're dying to, but you could wait till August. So thank you for coming out. Libby, we were just clarifying the statement. It'll probably evolve a little bit more before November, but I would say the latter is closer to what we're trying to clarify. Raise money that will be used for security, for the vestibules, for the man traps, and then going forward to improve it. It may change again, so stay tuned. As our attorneys look at it and they ask for clarification, we try and add clarity. As somebody comes to a meeting and says, hey, it's not quite clear, I don't understand what you mean by permanent, we try and clarify that. So you said, which is it? This one, that one, is it going to change again? It's the latter, and it may. So that's the short answer. Obviously, as it gets closer to the ballot time, the interpretive statement has to be finalized, and if somebody else has additional questions, we'll try and clarify it. Mr. Smith, did you have anything else you wanted to?
We've talked about it at every meeting for the past 3 meetings. You know, we could have raised taxes and included the security vestibules in this year's budget. We decided not to and leave the tax cap at 2% again for the 5th year in a row, and go to the voters and see if they want to spend money on capital improvements related to security. It's as clear as it gets. I don't know how much more clear we can be.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions from the board or anything there? The doctors on the end are good?
I think, can I just ask a question?
Sure, Mike.
I think there's a lot of confusion about this issue, and in the past, I think when we've done referendums, we had separate meetings. There was nothing else on the agenda except the referendums. It might be a good idea to do that in this case as well. So we could have the Finance Committee or whoever else wants to join, and we can walk through the process that we went through to go to determine, these are the 2 questions that we want. This is why we need them. This is why it's going to increase the base budget by $850,000.
We did that in part, though, right? But you're asking for additional clarity come closer to November? We did that in March, but...
Yes, but now we have an interpretive statement
Sure.
to go along with this, right? So I think we should, and I talked to Dr. LaSousa about this, and he's in agreement with this too. So we did it when we had referendums.
Right.
We had only a meeting about the referendum. So maybe we can do that here. I don't know if everyone's in agreement with that, but I would welcome that. Yeah.
There you go. Probably after we get back in session. I'm sorry, what, Brad?
Completely clear and transparent, so.
Yeah, and we may have to
anything we
change
can do
it.
to be more clear and transparent, that's fine.
Right. Or just, present it again.
Yeah,
Get
sure.
more eyes on it. Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? So finance will work through that. Great, thank you. All right, perfect. So we're going to move over to the regular agenda, which shouldn't take too long. Again, these are posted for the most part by midday to end of day on Friday. So we are going to start with Ms. Ciccarelli on personnel.
To move agenda items A1 to... Oh,
Comment before we dive
Oh,
in
I'm
with
sorry,
personnel?
Dr. Donahue. I apologize.
I just wanted to call your attention to the addendum for personnel, on which you will see that we have had a resignation letter from Mr. Andriazza. And Dr. LaSousa and the administrative team have given this considerable thought. And we are recommending Dr. Kristen Crawford to replace him as the principal at Milton Avenue School. If you will remember, Dr. Crawford has been in the district as our science supervisor for 8 years. And last year, she was at Washington Avenue School to get the school off to a very strong start. She was there from the beginning of school until February. After that, she transitioned over to Lafayette and was the assistant principal there. And she succeeded very capably in both buildings, and we're very confident that she is the one to take on this position and would be a strong leader for our students, our families, and our teachers over at Milton Avenue School.
Excellent.
Thanks.
So Ann, could you move those
I can.
again? Or
I'd like to move action items A1 to A16 on the regular agenda, and then on the addendum, A1, A1A, A2, 5, 12, and 17 through 19.
can somebody second?
Second.
But I think there's
There you
18
go.
and
So-
19 on that addendum also, is it?
17, 18, and 19.
Okay.
17 through 19.
17 through 19, got it.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Donahue. I thought we were going to move the items and then have the discussion, so I was out of order. I apologize. So Dr. Crawford is with us, and I met Dr. Crawford when she came here 8 years ago, and she was so excited about science. They were just rewriting the science curriculums, and oh my God, she was so excited. I tried to look as eager as I could have, but I can only go so far with science. And then I met her when she was being a principal at Washington, and she was even more excited. She said, I love early education. And again, I tried to keep that same focused look, but she is over the top with excitement, and I think it's a great choice, so I don't get involved in the choice, but it's funny, you opened Washington Avenue and then closed Milton Avenue at the end of the year. So if you don't mind, Dr. Crawford, if you wouldn't, just maybe so folks can see you, get to know you, get to know your face, your voice.
Well, I know the students at Washington Avenue School know my voice when I do my announcements. And my famous quote is when we have to do indoor recess, I always say, it's liquid sunshine to try to,
Does that work?
It does. For some, it does. But anyway, Dr. Donahue, Dr. Sortino, and Dr. LaSousa, who I'm sure is streaming this wherever he is, I just wanted to thank you for your support and your confidence. I'm really excited for this role, as Mrs. Weber talks about how I really do. I'm enthusiastic about my job. I'm enthusiastic about education, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of the educational journey for all the students at Milton Avenue School. And yeah, so thank you so much for this opportunity to the board. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Excellent. Does anybody else have any questions? Mr. Smith, did you have something? Any comments on any of the personnel? Beth loves questions. As busy as the personnel office is during the year, this summer, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy, filling positions and resignations and things. So thank you, Beth, and your team for plugging away. I know it's been an arduous year. No other comments or questions? Great. Okay, Peter, over to
Sure.
you.
Agenda items A1 through 16, and addendum items 1, 1A, 2, 5, 12, 17, 18, and 19. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Zhang.
Yes.
And Ms. Weber.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Agenda items passed 601.
Excellent. Fantastic. Oh, Susan's not here.
No, finance first.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, Bradley. Over to you for finance. I jumped.
You okay?
I'd like to move agenda items B1 to B20, in addition to 21 and 22 on the addendum, and call attention to a couple of donations. We have the Greater Lafayette Classic making a donation to the Cougar Academy, Mrs. O'Reilly's Cougar Academy, in an amount of $1,000. We also have a Bank of America volunteer grant from Ms. Jill Weber to be used at the superintendent's discretion. And finally, an Eagle Scout project. A rising senior is going to build a storage cabinet for specific supplies in the music and theater department. So thank you for all those donations.
Excellent. Thank you, Bradley. Did we get a second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you. Perfect. I just want to remind folks that work, at various corporations, they offer volunteer grants. So Mr. Smith just mentioned the Bank of America grant. Depending on hours that you volunteer, it gives back to any organization that you volunteer. So Bank of America will give up to $1,000. I know Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Lord Abbott, they all do it. So if you can, tap, I know so many people do so many volunteer hours and help out in various organizations, whether it's religious, sports, schools, the JCs, the Knights of Columbus. So please look into your organizations and see if they have a similar type of grant that you can help out your organization. Food banks, they all qualify. So if you volunteer for an organization, a lot of times your corporation will provide money for that organization. So if you have an opportunity, take a look into that. Any other questions for Mr. Smith on that? All right, Peter, all you.
Sure. Agenda items B1 through 20, and addendum items B21 and B22. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Zhang.
Yes.
And Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Agenda items passed 7-0.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Okay, great, thank you. So now over to curriculum. In Susan's absence, I'll make a motion to move C1 through C5.
Second.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the ones you have questions, can have questions on? Field trip, after school? Nope. Any questions? Nope. Dr. Donahue, on the curriculum front, do you mind taking a note on the health class?
I took a note, yep.
And maybe circle back?
Absolutely.
Circle back through Susan when, the committee?
Yep.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Peter, would you mind?
Sure. Agenda items C1 to C5. Ms. Ciccarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Del Sandro.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Dr. Zhang.
Yes.
And Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Agenda items passed 7-0.
Excellent. Mr. Ryan, any audibles for policy?
No, nothing for policy. Ms. Feeman and I are going to be working very closely this summer to get all of those
Okay.
policies up.
Is it a turnkey, it'll be 100%, or you're going to trickle them, release them?
We'll do them all at once, but we want to make sure that some edits that we've made over the years to the policies
Okay.
end up in the actual policies.
Got it, okay. Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so we have board business, if anybody would like to bring anything up. If anybody would like to ask Dr. Donahue to do a whole dissertation on maybe the science curriculum, we could do that now. We got free time on our hands.
Absolutely do that now.
Excellent. No board business? Okay, we have our second opportunity for public commentary. If people are queuing up, I just want to remind the board, we do have a quick executive session. We'll meet in the band room after, if you could just stick around. That'd be great, thank you.
Is this working? All right, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ryan, for suggesting that the possibility of public Q&A sessions similar to what we did during the referendum could be held for these two second questions that are permanent tax levy increases. That was something I was going to bring up, but so I think it would be completely beneficial to the public and to the board to hold some of those sessions similar to the referendum. So thank you for that. Well, my second question is, at the last meeting on June 5th, there was a resolution passed that says transfer current year surplus into capital reserve account. And the resolution stated, quote, unanticipated excess current year revenue and/or unexpended appropriations from the general fund into the capital reserve fund in an amount not to exceed $4 million. So if I'm reading that right, the way I read it is that there's going to be an additional $4 million in next year's capital reserve budget. That was passed at the last meeting. So my question is, why can't we use some of those funds in capital reserves to construct the security vestibules or any of the other things that were noted in the newsletter as ongoing capital needs projects? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Nope, that's it? Okay, great. We're going to close the public comment section. Peter, just correct me, that's fairly standard practice that we move money at the end of each year over to capital reserve, and that's not that we can't use it, but typically that money is left in reserve to do larger projects. And I don't know if Mr. Smith and finance have, kicked around, where that money is going. I do know that a lot of our security expenses has exponentially gone up over the years. So in addition to roofs and things that we typically use that capital reserve money for, our security expenses has tripled from the original inception. So it's really a combination, and I'm speaking a little bit out of school. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate.
Again, we could have used that money. We could have also just put through security vestibules in this year's budget and raised taxes more than 2%. We decided to leave taxes at a 2% raise and go to the voters on security vestibules and raise that money in perpetuity so that in the future we can add capital improvement projects and security projects designed to protect our students.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so oh, go ahead, Peter. I can't hear you.
The one thing I wanted to add is the resolution says up to. At June 5th, the accounting for the fiscal year and the month of June was nowhere near complete, and it is still being finalized, and the number will not be finalized until the audit is completed. So that is for funds that were budgeted and trying to be prudent with the taxpayers' money. If whatever we have in the budget, we do the best we can not to spend it all so that we can put money away to do other projects. The money that would go into capital reserve would not be available for use until the 24-25 budget year, which is, we've always gone on a year lag, and that's how we've continued to fund our capital investments and keep the taxes at a 2% increase for the last 5 years.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Okay, great. So we're going to close the public session for now. We're going to go into executive session. Dr. Donahue, remind me, action will be taken?
No.
Or no action will be taken? No action will be taken. Thank you. I apologize. Great. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the summer. Drive safely. Appreciate you all coming out.